Good afternoon, my conscious co-creators. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. I am very, very pleased that you are all here with me today. We've got a wonderful show in store for you with an amazing guest. Hopefully he gets on the stream soon. But first, of course, as always, we have our blog post from a couple of years ago. And this one, I think, is pretty apropos for today's topic. And today's blog post is entitled, Gratitude is a Choice We Can Make Anytime. Sometimes it is hard to feel grateful. There is so much in our lives and the world that causes us pain. We fear for what will happen tomorrow or the next day. All of our concerns take us out of gratitude and peace, because ultimately they take us out of presence. For in the present moment, everything is usually okay. The fears and concerns we have are all about the past or the future. Rarely are they about what is happening right here, right now. If we can just stop for a moment and be here in the now, we might find something that surprises us. In the present moment, there is actually a lot to be grateful for. We are alive. We have our breath. We have shelter and food. Sometimes it can feel like we do not have much until we step out of our own life and see that there are others who have so much less. When we are called to have gratitude from an external source, we might resist it. For it is not something that is coming up for us naturally. This is understandable. Still, we have cultivated, if we can cultivate gratitude, if we want, still, we can cultivate gratitude if we want to. We can change how we feel if we are willing to. And when we make the decision to find things to be grateful for, we can find them. Then gratitude becomes a choice. Choosing to find things that we can feel gratitude for is a power within all of us. It is our choice to exercise this power or not. So if you're not feeling gratitude this moment, perhaps there is a reason. What are you focusing on? Where is your attention? If you want to stay where you are, you can just keep focusing on those things. Should you want to change that feeling, you can. Change your focus. Change what you're giving your attention to, and you will change your feelings. The choice is yours. What are you choosing to feel now? Would it be better to find something else to be grateful for instead? Um, so I wrote this blog post a couple of years ago, and I believe I was working with a client um, who was having difficulty feeling grateful for what was going on in their lives at the time, because there was so much chaos and disruption and problems in relationships and career and things like that. And so it just kind of triggered in me an exploration of um, you know, feeling grateful is something that we often associate with some kind of external event. When X happens, I feel grateful. And we forget that gratefulness is something we can cultivate at any point in time, because the mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real experience. So if we can recall something or make something up to be grateful for, maybe it's something in the past, maybe it's something in the future, or maybe it's just about looking at what we have right here, right now, to be grateful for. And when we just take some inventory, and in the blog I mention it, but I find a really useful tool if we're having a hard time finding something to be grateful for, is to look at someone less fortunate. Compare what you have to some poor starving child in Africa or India or China or someplace in the world where there's not enough food. If you have a roof over your head and four walls around you to protect you from the elements, that is something to be grateful for, because there are a lot of people who don't have as stable a structure to live in, may not even have a house at all. Even in the United States, you can see people living on the street. I mean, here in New York City, you see people living on the street all the time. Just the other day, my wife and I were walking past some storefront that was closed for the day, and there was a man with a bunch of cardboard boxes kind of setting up his little bed to crash for the night. I paused a moment ago because it had just started kind of raining and snowing here out my window, and it just caught me by surprise. And talking about that guy we saw the other night, I just thought, can you imagine? You're homeless, you're trying to find a place to sleep somewhere. The shelters are full. All you have is a cardboard box, and it starts raining and sleeting and snowing. That's not a life for anyone. So if you have a bed to sleep in, if you have enough food in your kitchen cabinet, if you have any of the accoutrements of a Western life, you have a computer, a phone, books, a chair, a desk, you are far more fortunate than a good, good, good portion of the world. So that's something to be grateful for. It's so interesting. We often lose that sense of gratitude when we focus on what we don't have. Yet when we focus on what we do have, mm, then we have something to be grateful for. In the world of art and painting and drawing, um, they sometimes called it looking at the negative space compared to the positive space. The positive space is the actual image. The negative space is what surrounds it. And I thought it's such a great analogy. Do we look at the positive space in our life, what we have, or do we look at the negative space, what we don't have? And look, sometimes we're going through hard times. Sometimes in the moment we're in pain. We're in a situation that feels unbearable. We're struggling in many different ways, so it can be hard to feel gratitude in the moment because things aren't okay in the moment. And I'm not trying to minimize that, and I'm not trying to say, we have this Pollyanna attitude and just, oh, everything's fine and happy and good and ignore the reality of the situation. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you see, those moments are small moments compared to our overall life. I mean, just look back over the past month. How many moments in the past month have been truly torturous for you versus moments where you could just sit and be present to all the things you have in your life and find a moment to be grateful? I guess ultimately, oops, ultimately, host is trying to say is gratitude is a choice. Maybe not 100% of the time. Okay. I'm look, let's get real. We're not always going to be happy 100% of the time. And I don't believe we're here to be happy 100% of the time. But we can have gratitude even when we're not happy. We can have gratitude even if aren't going our way. Oops, sorry, my microphone keeps cutting in and out. We can have gratitude even when we're going through a difficult situation. Gratitude is a choice, and it's a choice we can make almost any time because gratitude is determined by what we choose to focus on. Now, the key is you really have to feel it in your body. If you really want to feel grateful in the moment, you've got to take that thing that you can cultivate gratitude around and really feel it drop into your heart, drop into your body. How does it feel in the moment to have whatever it is that you're grateful for? Whether it's wonderful friends, whether it's a job you love, or maybe it's a child in your life, or maybe it's a relationship, or maybe it's where you live, or maybe it's an opportunity coming your way, even if it's not right here, right now. And just feel, what does gratitude feel like in your body? What does it mean to you? Because our feelings are in our body. To truly feel something, it's not all up in the mind, it's not in the head, it's in the body. So, how does your body feel when it's grateful? When you're experiencing gratitude, is it warm all over? Do you feel at peace? Is it relaxing? Is it exciting? What does gratitude feel like for you? And what can you do to choose to feel grateful right now, right here, listening to my voice today, even though it's a little scratchy? What can you do to feel gratitude right now? I'd love to hear it from you. Please comment on the live stream if you're listening live. Even if you're not, please comment. Let me know. What are you grateful for in your life right now? Okay. So that is my blog post. The blog is entitled Gratitude is a Choice We Can Make Anytime. And of course, you can always find my blog on my personally branded website, theconsciousconsultant.com, and on the station's website, talkradio.nyc/blog. And if you like this kind of blog post, you might like my book, Everyday Awakening, which you can get at any major book seller. That's filled with ideas and thoughts like this for you to ponder. Okay. So we're going to go take a break. Going to see if we can rustle up our guest today or not. And so we will be right back after these messages. Please stay tuned. You are listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We do this every Thursday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on talkradio.nyc and all over social media. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch. And we will be right back after this.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Liebowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. My guest today apparently is MIA. We'll see what we can do to get in touch with him to get him on the show. The title of the show is going to be with him, Beyond Positive Thinking, and I think I'm going to stick with that. Because, you know, so many people talk about positive thinking because of the movie The Secret. This idea that all we have to do is think positive and we'll get whatever we're trying to get. And if anybody's really tried to use positive thinking in that way, they find that it really doesn't work that well. Now, is there a benefit to positive thinking? Absolutely. I read Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, years and years ago. And yes, it is much better to think positively than not. I do believe in being an optimist, not a pessimist. However, using positive thinking to create something in your life, it's kind of like we're trying to manipulate the universe into giving us what we want. And we think that, oh, if I just think positive, I'll get this, that, or the other thing. Doesn't really work that way. And of course, there are tons of practices around positive thinking, your vision boards, your intentions, all kind of stuff like that. In my experience, those things can work to a point. However, oftentimes it doesn't. And the reason why it doesn't is because as much as we try to convince ourselves that we deserve to have this thing that we're trying to be so positive about, there are almost always unconscious factors from our parents, from our childhood, from our experiences growing up that start from a very, very young age that train our subconscious into believing that we're not worth it, that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve to be happy, that we don't deserve to have joy in our lives. And no amount of positive thinking is going to overcome those internal feelings. Those internal feelings will consistently sabotage the positive thinking. So does this mean we can't have what we want? Not at all. Not at all. But from my perspective, there's a couple of steps in the process. And this work is not easy work because we really have to unwind and metabolize these ancient beliefs, habits, feelings in our nervous system to truly be able to bring to us the things we want to bring to ourselves. So, what does that mean? That means having to do some deep personal inner work. And that can look like a lot of different things. For some people, that means working with a professional therapist or an analyst of some kind. For others, it might mean working with uh, a life guide, a coach. For others, it could be working with a facilitator. You know, I'm very big on the idea of using plant medicine and psychedelics to help rewire the brain and to help unwind these past traumas. It can be following a spiritual practice, like like be, becoming a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Christian, a Jew, but like really following the spiritual practices, learning to meditate, and just giving yourself the gift of sitting still for 20 minutes a day. It can look like so many different things, but it has to be one of the things. And I'm sure there's a myriad more ton of other things that it could look like that than what I have mentioned. I've just touched upon a few of them. But first, we have to shine a light on why we feel that we're not deserving. I mean, first we have to recognize, like, are there these feelings inside of us where we feel we don't deserve, that we don't feel good enough, that we don't feel that we're capable or worthy? And it could be from an offhand comment from a parent when we were a little child. It could be from something a sibling did or said to us, or a friend that just stuck with us. It could come from many, many different places. And if we took on that energy, if we took on that feeling, then it's a part of us. We're not going to excise it. We're not going to cut it out of ourselves. We're not going to release it. But what we can do is shine a light on it. What we can do is recognize it for what it is. because all these feelings of not being good enough and, oh, I can't try anything new because I'm going to fail and get hurt and all this stuff. It's all meant to protect us, to help us to survive. So one of the first ways to start to metabolize these feelings of unworthiness is with gratitude. To be grateful that these mechanisms, these patterns, these programs, these behaviors, that they did their job. They kept us alive. They kept us from being hurt. So the first thing is to look at in what ways did these feelings that perhaps today are not working for our best interests, how in the past they did, and having some gratitude for them, even if they're not serving us now, but that they did serve us in the past. And so when we can find any reason why these things that today might be keeping us from the things we want, if we can find any reason at all of why and how they served us in the past, having some gratitude releases the tightness of that grip. Might not completely metabolize it, but at least it lightens it. And by shining the light of consciousness, shining the light of awareness on those sides of ourselves, that we can be aware. And that when we notice ourselves saying something, doing something, making certain choices or decisions that maybe aren't in our best interest, we can stop ourselves for a moment and look at it and say, I wonder if this is coming from that old pattern of unworthiness. And taking a moment to appreciate it, but letting it know that you want to make a different choice now. And being aware of it, but putting it to the side. I appreciate you trying to protect me, but I don't need that kind of protection now. I understand this is the way I've been, but I choose to make a different decision now. You see, these choices that we make and these patterns that we live into, we can't change them if we're not aware of them. And one of the reasons why it is so helpful to work with a professional or to work with someone outside of ourselves is because they can see the patterns in us much better than we can see them ourselves, because we're in the middle of it. We're living our life. It's hard to get a perspective on it. But when you work with a therapist, a coach, a guide, a facilitator, they can see things much more clearly because they're not so emotionally tied to your particular situation. And so they can have the outside, unattached perspective that we need to help us to recognize what we're doing. And so when we can see it, then we can change it. And now changing these old patterns, these old habits are not so easy. But we do it a step at a time. We don't need to overwhelm ourselves. We don't need to go from 0 to 100 overnight. I mean, if you do, great, wonderful, keep it up. But if you're like most people, not usually what happens. And so doing this deep inner work goes way beyond just positive thinking. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about sort of the next step. like I said, there's a couple of steps with this, but this is sort of a foundational piece that we need to work on first. And then as we work on this, then we move to the next step, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So everyone, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, and we'll be right back after this.
Misalignment within your sales team or with a client stalls deals and creates unnecessary friction for you and the client, resulting in up to 37% lower win rate. If you're in pre-sales, sales, sales management, or sales enablement, and you'd like to increase revenues, win rate, margins, client satisfaction, and stay competitive, this show is for you. Hi, I'm Art Fromm, host of the Making Seamless Sales Show. Please join me live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Have you ever wondered what truly lies beneath the calm? I'm Jacinta Yang. Join me every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Talk Radio NYC as we explore healing, self-discovery, and a space where science meets spirits to help you find peace in a busy world. Take a deep breath and tune in to Beneath the Calm, where every conversations guide you back to the calm within.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. Unfortunately, my guest did not make it today. But we're continuing on that theme of beyond positive thinking. And don't get me wrong, I think positive thinking is a wonderful tool, but it has its limitations. And we've been talking about, well, how do we go beyond it? And so the first thing is doing that interpersonal deep work and finding the root causes, going into those deep places where we feel unworthy, not valuable, not good enough, all those uncomfortable, challenging feelings, and shining a light on them, starting to metabolize that energy, first by having gratitude for it and then recognizing it for what it is, a protection mechanism. So let's say we've started to do that work, and that work is lifelong work. You know, you may be good in the moment, but there's always different angles and different aspects. That's okay. You don't have to get it all done. It's not a 100% thing in order to start doing stuff. The more we unwind it, the more we touch upon it, the better and better things get. So what's the next step? Well, as we're doing that deep inner exploration, oftentimes there's a realization that comes with it. Oftentimes the next step is recognizing that we actually are the creators of our life. And you're like, wait a minute, Sam, what do you mean I'm creating a life? No, my parents created me. I was born into this situation, all these things around me. What do you mean I created my life? Sorry to tell you, but yeah, you actually do create your life. We create our life every single moment, day to day, through many different facets. First, with our choices and our decisions, we create our life. But oftentimes we're not even aware of why we're making the choices we're making and doing the things that we do. So the second thing is we create our life through our attitudes. Whether we have a more positive, uplifting attitude, okay, here's where a little positive thinking comes in, or are we more pessimistic, negative? Are we more skeptical, or are we more a believer? There's nothing wrong with being skeptical It's just knowing that that's when we're skeptical, that's going to create certain outcomes. And when we're a believer, that creates certain outcomes. And also, if we're gullible, that creates certain outcomes. So, what are our attitudes towards life? Do we believe that life is here to serve us, support us, that life is abundant? Or do we believe that in scarcity and fear and limitation? We create our life with the energy we bring to our life. And that energy dictates so much. And the awareness of how we enter into things. So we create our life in a million different ways. When I think back over my own life, so many decisions which at the time seemed not that big a deal completely changed my life and led me in a totally different direction. Like just thinking about like which college did I go to? Because of the decision I made, where I went, I met certain people that took my life in a certain direction that had I made a different choice would have taken my life in a completely different direction. When I chose to start looking for work, what kind of a job did I look for? How did I want to use my energy, my tools, my talents? The decision to leave the corporate world after 9 years, like I've had enough of this. I need an out, and becoming a consultant and starting to work for myself. That was a huge decision in my life. And then starting to work with one person and working with him on 2 or 3 different companies, and then leaving that and starting another company, and then that working, and then choosing to go into real estate right at the wrong time, and then losing my shirt in real estate. Like that made a huge impact on my life. And that choice to go to that party where I met Giorgio, who sold me the wellness center and the radio station over 15 years ago. Had I not made the choice to go to that party, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. Yes, there is serendipity. Yes, there are coincidences, though. I don't believe anything's really a coincidence. Yes, there are things that happen that can nudge us one way or another, but it's always up to us to decide to follow that or not. So when I look back over my life, I've created my life through all these different choices. And there are times in my life when I look back on it that it's really hard to admit, oh my God, I created that. And I absolutely did. It can be really challenging because to admit to ourselves that we create our life. We don't create our situations. Sometimes we do. But oftentimes we end up in situations that are not of our making. But how we respond, how we show up, the choices we make within those situations create our life from that situation. And so sometimes we not end up in really challenging situations that are hard. I ended up, when I was still in college, living with someone who was schizophrenic. And for 6 years, on almost a daily basis, I was having to deal with his craziness. That was my choice. I didn't have to do that. And making that choice caused me to feel certain ways that then caused me to make a lot of decisions after that. And owning that can sometimes sting a bit. The biggest challenge with accepting that we create our life is then we have to accept we create all of our life. Of course, as I mentioned, there are certain things we have no control over. I had no control over my friend being schizophrenic. But did you notice I chose to put myself in that situation, just as I chose to extricate myself from that situation, even though it was very difficult and very challenging. You see, we always have choice. We always have choices. We may not like the consequences of those choices, but we always have choice. Many people end up in an abusive relationship and they choose to stay for whatever reason. Maybe it's a married couple and the woman is being abused by the man and they choose to stay because of the children, because they don't feel they'll be able to survive without the man, or because of, who knows, so many different reasons, until it gets to be too much. And then they finally make the choice to leave. But you see, they may not have known the person was abusive before they married him, but the moment that first abuse happened, they know from that point forward, that person made a choice to stay. Now, look, sometimes the abuser can threaten all kinds of things and convince the person to stay. And look, if you're in that situation, my heart goes out to you. And I'm not saying it's easy. And I'm not saying, that you've done something wrong. If someone else is abusing you, they're doing something wrong. The thing to recognize in even the worst situation is we always have choice. And that's something that goes way beyond positive thinking. Because if things are bad, positive thinking is not going to get you out of that situation. Only our choices are going to get us out of that situation. And that can be a really hard thing to accept. And I get it. I totally get it. It ain't easy. But no one ever said life was easy. As the old expression goes, nobody promised me a rose garden. Life is what life is. And sometimes, from a spiritual perspective, we put ourselves into those challenging situations to help us to grow, to help to have some resistance so we can build up the emotional, spiritual, psychic muscles to be able to grow and do better and be better. It can all serve us, even if it doesn't feel like it serves us. It can. So, what goes beyond positive thinking? The deep inner work of looking at our inner feelings and how long we've held on to them and what they're all about and shining a light on them. And next, coming to the acceptance that we create our life. And then there's a little third piece to it that makes all the difference in the world. And we'll get to that third piece in just a moment. You need to take a little break and then we'll come back. So you are listening to The Conscious Consultant, Awakening Humanity. And we'll be right back after this.
On Frank About Health, we're not just talking healthcare. We're managing disruption and innovation. Over the last 4 years, I've taken you from epilepsy and COVID to mental health, caregiving, and now the front lines of healthcare transformation. Stay tuned for a healthier future as we bring on the innovators, professionals, storytellers, and advocates who show you how to own your healthcare every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a purpose-driven individual looking for deeper healing, clarity, and growth? Welcome to the Expansion Room, a transformative space for purpose-driven individuals. I'm Siobhan Larice, host, licensed therapist, and coach. Join me every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We're talking this hour all about beyond positive thinking and what does it really take to create the life we want. So let's review what we've gone over so far. The importance of gratitude, doing the deep inner work, realizing that we create our life through our energy, our attitudes, our choices, our decisions. And then the last piece is when we recognize that we're a creator, taking the responsibility to change our life. That once we accept that we have created our life up until this point in time, that means we can change it anytime we want. Every day is a new day. Every morning is a new morning. When we wake up, we can decide. We can make different choices. Again, not from a superficial, oh, let me just think positive thoughts point of view, but from a deeper place. Deep inside our heart, deciding, is this what I want, or do I want something different? And taking ownership of everything in our life. If our relationships aren't great, who's the one common person in all those relationships? It's you, it's us. If there's something we don't like about our career, about our health, about any aspect of our life, we have the choice. And we can choose to change it. And it's making the choice to do the things we need to do to change. Now, look, is change easy? Absolutely not. There's always inertia. There's always things that make it easier for us to stay where we are as opposed to make a different choice. So does it take effort? Absolutely. Does it take repetition? Absolutely. Does it take more awareness? Absolutely. But you know what? When we recognize that we have that power, if instead of beating ourselves up over all the quote unquote bad decisions we make, which weren't really bad decisions, they were the only decisions we were able to make at the time because we were all doing the best we can with what we have in the moment. We always have a choice, and we can have gratitude for that. when we can have gratitude for everything in our life and how it serves us in some different way, like then we can be free of it. Then we don't have to hold on to it. Then we can metabolize all these energies and we can move in a new direction. And then the more clarity we have, the more clear we are on what we want and what we don't want. We really want to focus on what we do want, not what we don't want. Because whatever you focus on, you're giving your energy to. So by being super clear on what we want, focusing on that, writing it down, see, that's when the vision boards can be really helpful because they help to clarify what it is we truly want in our life. The tricky thing is, oftentimes we think we want things because of societal programming and they're not the things we really want. Like maybe we think we want a big business with millions of dollars and jet setting from here to there and this glamorous life, and it sounds so wonderful. But what we really want in our heart of hearts is just more peace, more time with friends and family. Maybe it's a simpler life. Or maybe we just want more freedom and we want to be a digital nomad. Or maybe we just want to spend more time with the person we love the most in the world. Or maybe we want to be by ourselves, or maybe we just want to connect with nature more. Just because society says that if we don't have millions of dollars, we're not to be taken seriously, that's society's issue, not ours. We can make a different choice. So when we know truly what brings us peace, what brings us joy in our hearts, and we get clear on that, then we know where we want to go. Then we have a direction. My one caveat to that is being clear is wonderful, but always leave room for the magic of life. Always leave room for life to bring us something that's even beyond our imagination. I often say that the universe has a much better imagination for my life than I ever did. And one of my superpowers was just being able to say yes to what life put in front of me. Sometimes that got me in trouble. Sometimes it worked out amazingly. But the one thing I can tell you for sure that I never imagined the life I would have today, 15, 20, 30 years ago. I would have no idea that I'd end up doing what I'm doing today, that I'd have the kind of life that I have today, the kinds of experiences that I have. I'm so appreciative of where I am today. May have taken me a bit of time to get there. So the sooner you can get there, maybe you get there much faster than I did, the sooner you can become grateful for your life and where you are in life, the better everything gets. The more we do the deep inner work and we unwind those feelings of unworthiness and self-sabotage and not feeling good about ourselves, the more we metabolize those energies and get them to not control us, our abundance naturally increases. Because we feel it in our bodies, we start making different choices, we start creating different situations in our life, and we start living a much better life. And it's sometimes a very subtle thing. And it sometimes shows up in ways we never expected. And just one example that I have so much gratitude for this person and for this falling in my lap, I cannot tell you, but just a little thing. I believe because I do feel better about myself than I did in the past. Something happened just this week that I never expected. Somebody who I met at a networking event, and then we had a virtual one-on-one, and then they live close to New York. We got together, had a conversation, and she asked me, "Oh, what are you and your wife doing for Thanksgiving?" And I said, "Oh, we rented a little Airbnb up in the Catskills, and we're going to go up and just spend a few days out of the city." And she's like, "Well, can you change your reservation?" I go, "Yeah, I'm still in the grace period. I can cancel it without losing money. Why?" She goes, "Well, I have this beautiful house up on a lake in Connecticut, and it's empty, and I believe it should be used. So if you want, you can, stay at my house and just pay me for the cleaning fee." And I go, "Really? Oh my God, thank you so much." I couldn't believe she offered this to me. Went over it, showed it to my wife, saw the pictures. It's so much bigger than the house we're going to rent. And all we have to do is pay for the cleaning fee. Oh my God, did the universe just trap a huge gift in my lap that I never expected? To me, that's the magic of life. It's those little pieces that, if we're open and flexible and can say yes, like the things that can show up are amazing. Something like this never happened to me before, but why did it happen now? Because I continue to do my own work, because I continue to dive into those sometimes not so good feeling places so I can metabolize those energies and be more conscious of them. And the more I metabolize them, the more amazing things show up, because now I can feel a little bit more deserving. So, how to go beyond just positive thinking, doing the deep inner work, recognizing that we create our life, taking responsibility, and knowing that we can change our life at any point in time by shifting our energy, our attitudes, and our choices. Is this easy? Absolutely not. Of course, it depends. For every individual, it's different. For every situation, it's different. For where you are, it can be different. But I can't guarantee, but I can almost guarantee that if you follow this simple prescription, life will get better. How much better? I don't know. Better in what ways? I don't know. You tell me. And if anything I've said during today's show resonates with you, has meaning for you, you think has some value, and you think there's someone out there who needs to hear it, please share the show with your friends and family. Don't keep it a secret. And try it on yourself and let me know, how does it go for you? Comment on the live stream and tell me, "Hey, Sam, I started to do what you recommended, and oh, this happened or that happened, or it didn't happen, or I felt better, I didn't feel better." Let me know. I would love the feedback. So, unfortunately, we're out of time. My guest didn't make it today, but I hope you appreciated what we talked about, even though he didn't make it. Thank you all for staying with me. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, we have other amazing shows on the network. Frank About Health, Philanthropy and Focus, Beneath the Calm, The Hard Skills, The Expansion Room. Wonderful, wonderful shows. Tune into them. And yes, if you did miss any part of today's show, you can always catch the replay on talkradio.nyc and on all the major podcasting apps: Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and on all the social media channels: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Twitch. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. Without you, there is no show. I have so much gratitude for you. Take care, everyone. We will talk to you all next week.